So you're working on your project car or your rust bucket beater and you just need a dirt cheap piece of exhaust pipe? Well, stay tuned because this just might work for you. Hey guys, Driver02 here. How you doing? So the topic of today's video is going to be using electrical conduit as exhaust tubing. Kind of controversial. If you don't like it, don't do it. But we'll get to that in a minute. First, I kind of just want to say happy 2020 to everybody. How's it going? It's been a heck of a year, eh? Kind of crazy. Right now with the whole US election, I'm following that pretty closely, and I don't know what's going on. I think it's history in the making, I'll say that. So, conduit as exhaust tubing. Why would you not want to do this? Well, if you look at it, that coating on there, well, that's the galvanizing, and that is almost a benefit because it makes it very rust resistant. At the same time, it also makes it difficult to weld. Now the other drawback would be as this coating burns off, it is quite toxic. So my first recommendation would be, if you're going to use this on your car, you don't use it right up by the manifold where this coating is going to have the most chance of burning off. So basically, I'm just saying it as a disclaimer, don't do what I do. So with that said, here's what I'm working on today. So if you guys remember this little project, my snow tractor, well, it kind of sucked the way I built it the first time with the original mower engine and little gearbox. The biggest problem was ice and snow would get packed into the pulley, and then the belt would just slip. So it was not a good design. Today we're just dealing with the exhaust header. So I got to make up a custom exhaust. And so I decided to go the cheap route and use some conduit. And so here's what I've done so far. I made up a little flange, welded it to the end of the smaller piece of pipe, stuck it inside this bigger piece, and then I joined them I tacked it on this side first. You can see they're fairly flush on that side. Then on the back, I just hammered it down, tack welded it, hammered it over, and just welded it shut. And it would be in your best interest to remove some of the coating around where you're going to weld. You can see my grinding marks there. I just use an angle grinder with a flap disc. Works pretty good. So you can use a regular grinding disc, you know, something like this, or a cut-off wheel. Anything just to get the coating off. You can even probably sand it off by hand. So now I think I'll probably trim this a bit. And I'm just going to put that in there. It'll go in the end, something like that. I'll weld it up. And I've got this little muffler, which I figured could go on and work pretty good. That's the bigger style of that muffler. And then I've got this thing. I thought would look pretty cool and would probably slip right over that. So that's my plan. right, we'll just get it mocked up here. Alrighty, and that alone is not bad at all. Get this guy on there. Oh, that's perfect. That's just a little bit ridiculous, and I think that's going to be just fine. Yeah, not bad at all. So there you go, guys. I just wanted to show you that conduit tubing is an option when you're doing your own exhausts. Do the research yourself and decide whether you actually want to go ahead and use this material. Because like I say, the coating is kind of toxic, and you don't want to breathe in the dust when you're grinding it or the fumes when you're welding it. And my other word of advice was, if you're putting this on your car, you might not want to put it right up by the header. Now in this case you're saying, hey, but that is a header. Well, yeah, but this is an off-road vehicle, and it's, you know, it's got like lots of fresh air around it, so I don't think it's going to be an issue. Like I say, make that decision for yourself. But for, you know, for off-road vehicles, and if you just want to make up like a cheap exhaust, or you're working on your winter beater, it's an option, right? So, and I do have some high temperature header wrap, and so probably from pretty close to where the flange is to at least to about here, I'll have some header wrap on it, because that's the brake pedal, so your leg is going to be in this area. And I don't want to get burned on it. I don't want anyone else to get burned on it. Oh yeah, and I threw in some footage of welding it just to show that it is possible. It's not the best material to weld, but if you get that coating off, it does make it a lot easier. You probably want to approach it like you would any thin tubing. You know, I was doing short little tacks and then joining them together. So for what it's worth, you know, take it with a grain of salt, but unfortunately this little tractor is not yet ready to fire it up, so we can't start it tonight. But hopefully that will come soon. In fact, I do plan to have another video on this thing, so stay tuned for that. I'll just give you a quick little glimpse of what's going on here. I still need to make up an adapter for the carburetor. As you can see, it's sitting at a bit of an angle because the whole engine is at a bit of an angle. So kind of experimental what I'm doing here. I think it's going to work out. And my final thoughts for the evening would be, it's not important who you vote for, but how many times you vote. That's what matters. And I actually live in Ontario, so it really doesn't affect me, although I think it probably could in a roundabout way. But either way, it's very interesting, and it's quite an important event that is occurring right now. So thanks again for watching. Very much appreciated. And until next time, well, I will see you then.